I guess it's time to do a Regulation H tier list. So we're about 1 week into the Regulation H format, and I thought, well, there's no better time than now to give you guys my initial thoughts on the metagame. Now, just for a bit of, a bit of background here, your boys played about 400 games on Showdown. I know, absolutely disgusting. I've been grinding, but I've basically done a lot of testing, and I think I have a decent enough, grasp on the current standings of the metagame to give you guys a decent enough ranking on this tier list. Now, one thing I will say here is my goal is to try to keep this under an hour long, which means I'm not going to spend too long on a lot of these monsters, simply because we are only, as I said, a week into the metagame. There is still a lot that needs to develop, a lot of strategies that need to be discovered, and yeah, there's still a lot to unfold. So this is kind of just going to be my initial thoughts. Now, going back to that, to save us a little bit of time, I basically made the don't tier. These are the Pokemon that I personally just think there is no point in ranking, because if I was going to rank them, chances are they're going to be in like an F tier or probably like a borderline D tier mon. And really, I don't have time to rank, 100 plus Pokemon that I don't really think are worth talking about. So we're kind of going to just skip over those. We're going to go talk about a lot of these guys now. There's some mons here that probably also shouldn't be here, but again, if they're borderline, I'm going to talk about them. We'll briefly discuss what they do in the metagame, and then we'll kind of go from there. So to kick us off here, we have the Kanto starters. Now, I will start this off by, I'll kind of just go through all three of them pretty quickly. Venusaur is one of the better chlorophyll Pokemon we have in the game. It's a solid grass type, definitely one of the better offensive poison types. And in my opinion, this is probably just a solid B tier mon. Obviously, it's very quick, has access to things like sleep powder. It's just pretty solid right now. And I think B tier is probably a pretty good spot for it. Charizard, I'm also going to put in the B tier, but I actually think this is one of the sleeper mons of the metagame right now. It's a mon I definitely need to test out more, and I need to find the right team to play it on. But I think Charizard is actually one of the better Sun Sweepers we have right now. This is a Pokemon that built a very similar role to Chi-Yu in terms of it's like a base 100 Pokemon that does a lot of damage in the sun, right? Terrifire, Solar Power in the sun is kind of insane. But unfortunately for the majority of, Generation 9, Chi-Yu's just done the same job, but a lot more consistently, right? So for now, I'm going to put Charizard in the B tier, but I definitely think this mon has potential to, potentially be an A tier mon, a very good mon. It just needs a bit more testing. Blastoise is one I'm going to put also in the B tier. Blastoise feels a really interesting niche right now. There's kind of two different things it can do. One is, setup sweeping with Shell Smash and Water Spout. And I did actually see a couple of them do pretty well in some online tours. But there was also like the supportive set, which is like, Fake Out, Helping Hand, Yawn. Honestly, surprisingly enough, they didn't have Wartortle on this tier list. I actually think Wartortle is also a mon that potentially could have at least made the C tier here. Because it's just an Eviolite mon that's really bulky and has really good support moves, but yeah, honestly, actually, Blastoise's going to go in the C tier. I'm going to bump that down. I think I'm being a little too generous there. I just love the Gen 1 starters. But look, it definitely has stuff it can do. It's a decent fake out support. Again, Helping Hand, Yawn, that kind of stuff. Shell Smash and Water Spout is also pretty insane. So I'm sure if you put it on the right team, it can definitely pop off. And in a metagame where water types aren't that great, I do see a world where Blastoise could be pretty decent. Now for the two Raichu. So I'm going to put regular Raichu here in C tier. It's definitely one of the faster fake out mons we have in the game. It also has Lightning Rod. But I think its biggest issue right now, and actually I'm going to go D tier here as well. I think its biggest issue right now is the fact that there is no real good electric types in the metagame. That's kind of Raichu's biggest issue. If there are mons like Miraidon it could redirect, or, things like Assault Vest Kyogre with Thunder, it would be pretty decent. But yeah, without that, it's probably just worthy of the D tier. Same with the Alolan variant of it. Honestly, this could probably even go on the don't tier, but electric terrain's bad right now. And yeah, it's kind of just bad. I'm going to put it out there. I don't think it's very good. What is this? Is this not a Alolan? What are you? No, you are a Alolan. Yeah, this is a Alolan Sandslash. What am I thinking? I think this one's decent enough right now. I think Snow is probably a bit of an underrated archetype, and it definitely has positive matchups into some mons. I do know one of the guys in the Discord was talking about it and saying, he thinks it has potential. I'm going to put it in the C tier because, again, it is a Slush Rush mon. It's one of the better ones. But realistically, I don't think it's going to be that good. So C tier for me. Baby Clef, I think this is our first A tier. This mon's very good. Obviously, one of the best Violet carries in the game. It has Friend Guard. It's a redirection mon. It's also a fairy type in a metagame where, there's quite a few dragons. A lot of teams right now are running, 1 to 2 dragon types. So I think having a redirection mon like Clef is fantastic. And of course, Friend Guard when paired up with things, some of the top threats like Annihilate is incredibly good. Big Clef, I'm gonna put this in the B tier. I've actually done a little bit of testing with it. This one's incredibly good at walling out Dondozo, with things like, I believe, Soft Boil plus Unaware. You kind of hard wall it. You can also tech on things like Thunderbolt as well. You can also just redirect it and it does like minimal damage, right? You kind of just like one, can't click order up on you, and then two, if they click wave crash, you're kind of ignoring their damage boosts. You're healing through it, and yeah, it's not a great time for the Dondozo players. So honestly, a pretty solid C tier mon. Ninetales, because it can set Sun, I'm going to put it in C. I think the issue with Ninetales is Torkoal kind of does the job just a bit better. A lot better, I should say. And then also, too, a lot of the time you would probably prefer have something like a Whimsicott or a Murkrow with Sunny Day rather than have a Ninetales. But of course, it's a Droughtmon. Drought is always going to be good. Alolan Ninetales, I'm going to probably say B tier. I've actually been testing this mon quite a bit today. I definitely see potential. Obviously, you know, can set up Snow for some Ice types. It's a pretty decent one by itself, being that it's a Fairy type, and we don't have that many good Fairy types in the game right now. But yeah, the Blizzard Spam obviously is there. It's a decent enough Moonblast user. Obviously, you can set up Aurora Veil in the snow. And also, it is nice just to have something like another Snow setter, or another Weather setter, I should say. Especially in a metagame where Pelipper is very, very dominant right now. For the Golduck, I think if you're bringing Golduck, you're bringing it for Cloud9. And that's why I'm going to say it can struggle. Obviously, Cloud9 and Swift Swim are both pretty good abilities. But realistically, you're not putting this on a Rain team. I think if you're planning to play Rain, you're just going to go with something like Basculegion, Ludicolo, something along those lines. You're not going to go Ninetales. Sorry, you're not going to go Golduck. And because I'm just going to put it in the D tier, you will struggle. Regular Primeape, I'm sure some of you are thinking, why the hell is this here? This actually has like some niches. I'm probably gonna have to put it in the struggle. I can't say this mon's better than Raichu. But yeah, it also gets Anger Point, and it also gets what's it called? It gets Anger Point and it gets Rage Fist. So what you can do is you can go for something like Smeagol Surging Strikes. You can Surging Strike this thing, get yourself 3 procs onto the Rage Fist, while also giving yourself +6. And yeah, it's kind of just Baby Annihilate. You're probably better off just running Annihilate, but it does have a cool tech there. The two Arcanines, now I'm going to say regular Arcanine is probably good on the right team. It's a solid fire type and Intimidate, it has E-Speed and whatnot. But I do think the Hisuian variant's better. I'm going to put it on very good here. I think this mon is fantastic on, you know, hyper offensive Tailwind teams. It's very good into the mirrors. It is probably one of the better offensive fire types you have in the game right now as well. And having a Rock Stab is always just fantastic. Also, access to things like Choice Banded E-Speed as well is never a bad thing. Slowbro, I'm going to say this guy's just average. It's a slow Trick Room setter. It has a niche there, but that's really all it has for it. Like, honestly, if Slowpoke was on the list, I'd probably put it in a similar tier, because at least Slowpoke can underspeed a Torkoal and set up off its weakness policy. Poliwrath, I think this one has potential. Obviously, it's a Swift Swimming Belly Drummer. I'm going to put it in the C tier, just because, like, while it is a Water Fighting type, it is probably the worst Water Fighting type we have. But yeah, like, it can belly drum up and then, like, sweep and rain. But again, you're probably better off just using something like Basculegion, like Ludicolo, if you want a, you know, if you want to run a set like that. Alolan Muck. I'm going to say this guy's in the C tier simply because I hate him. Basically, for anyone who doesn't know what Alolan Muck does, it spams Minimize next to a Moody Smeagol. When the Smeagol, you know, dies, it then passes it to Moody. And then this thing just starts spamming Protect and Minimize, and it's incredibly obnoxious to play against. A good player, you know, a lot of the time will find a way around it, but also sometimes you just get really unlucky, and it kind of is what it is. Genja, this is another mon I've been looking at a bit because it's a decent focus sash mon. It has kind of a niche, I guess, into like Mouse Ape, because you kind of force the ape to like attack you, because like you're always going to be sash, so you can normally at least get off like 2 attacks. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it's D tier. It's not that great. It's like it kind of has to run sash. I guess it can like run like Protect, Trick Room, Double Stab. It's probably about it. The Electrodes, they're also like D tier. They are the fastest mons in the game. They also get access to Electro Web. They get access to things like Boom. Really, the only niche they have going for them is that they are faster than Dragapult. Like, that's literally it. These two are here a bit tough, because I think they're both underexplored. I'm gonna put them both in the C tier. They are both pretty decent Trick Room mons. And regular Eggy is like decent on like what's it called, like the Sunroom teams, because you could also have it with a little bit of speed, so that like out of the Trick Room, it can actually like outspeed things and do some work. Has access to things like Sleep Powder. And Alolan Eggy as well. I believe the best set on it's Harvest, so you can go like Harvest Citrus Berry in the sun and kind of do something there. But look, they're bulky enough Trick Room setters. I do like this variant, the Alolan version, a bit more personally. But yeah, I think they're, you know, they're just average mons. Yeah, I think you could definitely build around them. Oh, dude, are they? Yeah, I can't say they're as bad as some of these ones, but yeah, look, they're average to me. Both Weezings, I'm going to smack them both in the B tier, simply because if you build a team around neutralizing gas, they can both be very good. I do think the fairy version's probably a bit better right now, just because we don't have that many good fairy types. But yeah, look, you pair them up with things like Slaking, right? I even, lost to a Toedscool one today where they just led like Weezing plus Toedscool. It was like a max speed Toedscool. It just started sleeping everything. Especially in a metagame where, one, not everything's that quick. And also, two, the quick teams do tend to rely on things like Tailwind off a Whimsicott. So yeah, because of that, I think, if you build the right team around it, they're definitely pretty solid. We have Electabuzz and Magma. Low-key, I'm gonna say Electabuzz is very good. This is... Nah, I can't. I'm gonna have to say good on the right team. And we'll go Magma. It's probably just average right now. So Electabuzz's thing is, it's actually, like, low-key, probably the best electric type in the game right now. It has an incredibly good matchup into Rain, I think, because you can just run something like Thunderbolt or Thunder. It helps you obviously deal with things like the Pelipper, and the Basculegions. And also, too, the ability to go like Terra Fairy and just like redirect away attacks from the Archaludon is pretty damn good. And also has like speed control, which like there's not really any good speed control mons right now that aren't like Tailwind or Trick Room. So being like a decently quick Electro Web user, I do think is pretty solid. And Magma too. Magma, they both have Vital Spirit, which is like kind of their thing, right? They can both just redirect Amoonguss for days, which is fantastic. But yeah, I think Magma is like outshined by some of the other fire types where there's honestly like no good electric types. So like Electabuzz kind of like slots in as like one of the better electric types in the game. The two Tauros forms here, I'm gonna say Blaze Bead's is good, and then Aqua Bead's very good. I think the biggest issue you'll find with the Blaze Breed is simply mons like Hisuian Arcanine and Incineroar are just better fire types. Obviously, they don't have the fighting stab that the Blaze Breed does. Blaze Breed is faster, it outspeeds Pokemon like Hydreigon. But I think its biggest issue really is that it has a lot of competition for fire type intimidators. Where the Aqua Breed, obviously, I think is the best fire water type in the game. Fighting water type in the game. Obviously, it kind of takes Urshifu Rapid Strike's place as that water fighting type. And yeah, it's just one of the better water types with Intimidate. Obviously, again, it outspeeds Pokemon like Hydreigon. It can just, frag it with close combat. Has things like Raging Bull as well, which I guess is something I should mention for both of them. I think Screens is really slept on right now. It's an archetype that will definitely pick up. Annihilate behind Screens is very scary to deal with. And yeah, because of that, I do think that the Tauruses are pretty damn solid. Gyarados, I'm gonna smack this right in the very good tier as well. This is basically the competition for Tauros, I guess, in terms of the water type Intimidator. This one has a few different sets it can run. It can be very annoying with things just like Taunt and Thunder Wave, which can be very frustrating. I can also run things like Dragon Dance, Terra Blast with Terra Flying, and then like Waterfall, and just be super, super strong. Obviously, it's a very good holder of the Clear Amulet. And it is also just a really good water support piece with Fire Water Grass Claws. It pairs really well with Incineroar. It's also really good with Rillaboom because sometimes it enables you to like use a different fire type that isn't Incin. Because you're like, hey, I've got my my Intimidate mod from my water type. Kind of the same thing with Aqua Breed, where it allows you to play maybe a bit more of an offensive fire type. Even open up a slot for something like Hisuian Arcanine because you got that second Intimidator. Ditto, this mon will always be B tier in my opinion, or at least good on the right team. If you find the right team for this mon can be very, very broken. I think in this current metagame, it's probably not as good, especially as it is in the current Regulation G format. But look, I think if you find the right team, Ditto will always have a niche. Big Lax, this is one of the mons that I think is very underexplored. I played one Snorlax today, and the guy literally like stayed in, and I just Terra Blasted it with the Porygon 2 Helping Hand. Sorry, what was it? Was it a P2 Helping? I think, yeah, it was just like Helping Hand, Porygon Z, sorry, with Choice Specs, just like fragged it with Helping Hand. But yeah, no, this mon I think is really good on the right team. I'm sure someone will find a way to play this guy in a Trick Room and it'll be an absolute beast. D-Knight, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm gonna say it's A tier. I think D-Knight's very good right now. I think the banded E-Speed stuff is actually still really good in a in a format with power levels a bit lower. I also think its best sets are probably something like AV plus Terra Flying. I think Terra Flying, Terra Blast of a Dragonite right now is insanely good. It can also run things like DD. I definitely see a world where people start pairing it up with Garchomp and Earthworm again. And you kind of just like Shed Tail into your multi-scale D-Knight. The thing becomes impossible to kill. DD's up. And then, yeah, you just have like a Garchomp and a D-Knight both spamming Earthquakes next to Earthworm, just healing it up. Yeah, Loki, very, very good mon. And I expect to see it get a bit of play, especially too because I do think that having double dragon is pretty good in the current metagame. So for the Johto starters here, I'm gonna be straight up. The two Typhlosions are very similar, but I think the Hisuian variant is just far better. I'm gonna put it here on the B list, the B tier, and then I'm gonna put you down here and you will struggle. They basically have the exact same niche, which is basically Choice Scarf Eruption. The biggest difference is the Hisuian variant is a ghost type, so it can't be faked out. And yeah, you pair it up with things like potentially, you know, Indeedee plus a Sunsetter. If you're going up against a team that could potentially outrun you, obviously you go for like Indeedee plus Redirection. If your opponent basically doesn't have Tailwind, you can go for things like Murkrow, Whimsicott, and just click Sunny Day plus Eruption. Very, very good there. For Alligator, this is probably going to be a bit of a common feature we'll see with starters. I did my best to leave the starters on these tier list. I think the only one I removed was Whimsicott, sorry, was Meganium. This mod, it's like has Sheer Force, DD, Life Orb, that kind of stuff. It's just not very good. There's better setup, you know, Pokemon out there, sadly. Like, maybe if one day this guy gets a new typing and, you know, stat buff, we can talk about it. But, yeah, that's it for now. Farret, I felt like I had to put Farret on this list, simply because I have seen people running it. I don't know exactly what it does, but it has Follow Me. I'm gonna say you're gonna struggle. I know people have found success with it, but it ain't it for me, Chief. Big Arzu, I'm gonna say good on the right team. Water Fairy is fantastic. It has huge power. Obviously, Belly Drum is always really good. And I'm sure, you know, people will be able to find a niche for it. It's probably pretty good on Trick Room right now as well. And yeah, I'm sure on the right team, this one can pop off. Politoed. The biggest issue with Politoed right now is how popular Pelipper is. Pelipper is kind of just better in the Terra format, which kind of sucks because in the past, Toad has notoriously been better. I'm going to say it's very good. I think it's just underexplored. Rain is the best archetype in the game right now for anyone who doesn't know, and Pelipper is on basically, you know, a lot of the top teams that are doing really good. I think Politoed is a little slept on. Maybe it should be in the B tier. But, you know, I'm a bit biased. I love the Toad. It's one of my favorite bonds. So I'm going to smack it here in the A tier. Rain is just fantastic right now. Jumpluff, this is good on the right team. Feels a very similar role to Venusaur, where it's like kind of a supportive grass type with Chlorophyll. The big difference, though, is it has access to Tailwind. So it does, you know, it's able to enable your teammates. But realistically, I mean, you're probably not trying to, you know, Tailwind up a Torkoal anyway. So you're kind of leading it. You're going like Sleep Powder, either swapping out Torkoal or like Eject Pact overheating. And yeah, look, I'm sure the right team can find a niche. It's a pretty good support on those teams, but yeah, for now, B tier. Sunflora, I'm gonna put it in the D tier, but I actually think this mon may be okay on Sunroom. It's very slow. It has solar power. I could see a world where this guy absolutely starts nuking things with like solar power, Life Orb. So I'm gonna smack it there in the D tier. Umbreon's a mon that normally gets a bit better as the power formats like, you know, increase. It's definitely one of the better dark types in the game. I'm gonna say C tier just because of how few dark types there actually are. But yeah, look, it's a decent enough dark type, right? Foul Play, Snarl are pretty good. It can, you know, heal up. It's a decent enough Bon. Murkrow, I'm gonna go out there and say Murkrow is very good. Murkrow, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of 3, technically it's one of 5 priority Tailwind mons right now. But it has a really good niche in the fact that 1, has Tailwind, 2, it has Sunny Day, so it can set up weather. It also gets Rain Dance as well, which is, I think, worth noting. But really the biggest selling point for me is Haze. So Haze is fantastic with Golden Go. People will pair this thing with like Choice Specs, Terra Steel, Golden Go, and you basically just go, you know, Tailwind and Nuke. And then you can start hazing away the special attack drops from your Golden Go. And works twofold as well with things like Dondozo, right? It allows you just to, they bring in their Dondozo, you save this guy, you know, priority haze it, and Dozo basically doesn't have a game. So yeah, definitely has a niche. Scizor, look, we're in a metagame where, like, we don't have that many good steel types, but the steel types we do have are very good. I'm going to say it's average. It always has a niche of, like, you know, SD plus Killer Amulet, but realistically, this thing probably does its best work on Rain, and our Chaladon exists. So, honestly, it's probably actually just a D tier. I'm going to put it down there. And it's going to go with my guy, Heracross. This one pains me. I'm a big Heracross fan, but it just doesn't really exist in VGC. It has, like, Moxie, like, Scarf Moxie maybe, but yeah, honestly, this probably doesn't even deserve to be in the D tier. It's probably in the F tier. I probably should have put it up there. Kingdra on Rain, I think can be decent. It's probably better on the Politoed variants rather than the Pelipper variants. Speaking of Pelipper, did I rank Pelipper? Wasn't there a Pelipper here before? Oh, he's here. That's why. I was gonna say he was like over here somewhere. But yeah, no, Kingdra on Rain. Look, it's a dragon type. Dragons are good. It's a swift swimmer. You know, it's decent. It is faster than things like Basket Legion, but realistically, I think it just doesn't put out enough damage. P2 is probably the premier Trick Room setter in the game that isn't like named Indeedee. I'm gonna say it's very good. It has, you know, a lot of cool things it can do right now. It pairs up really well with the Spider as well. We're also in a metagame too where I do think normal types are pretty good. And it also pairs up pretty well with other mons like Blood Moon Ursaluna, regular Ursaluna, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, solid A tier mon in my opinion. Big Smeagol also going in the A tier. This guy's bag is just too deep. You can literally customize a Smeagol to do whatever you want on any team. It has Fake Out Spore. It also has like Follow Me if you want it. It can get things like Spiky Shield, Burning Bulwark. You know, what's the one Toxapex has? Baneful Bunker. Again, if you want to run like offensive stuff, I've seen people go with, you know, as I said earlier, Searching Strikes into a Primate. You can also go for like Population Bomb into an Archalodon. A lot of things this mon can do, man. Its bag is so deep that it can't be any lower than the A tier. Big Hitmon, sadly, it's just average. It's basically poor man's Instant is kind of the way I look at it. It's like an intimidating, you know, it's an intimidating fake outer. Obviously, it has wide guard, it has close combat, but yeah, unfortunately, him on top kind of, you know, he hit his stride a few generations ago and probably doesn't make a comeback. Titar, though, Titar probably is one of the premier dark types right now. Probably top 3. It'd be like him, Hydreigon, and what's it called, King Gambit. Very, very good. Again, we're in a metagame where Rain is absolutely dominant right now, so having a weather set yourself is never a bad thing. Excadrill and Lycanroc are both pretty solid ones as well. It is also pretty good on things like these Glamora plus Dozo teams, right, where, you know, you set up your spikes, you have the Sand chip, you have the Toxic Spike chip, and then eventually you get into your Dondozo, and he kind of just stalls you, which is pretty frustrating to deal with. So, my guy Sceptile, absolutely love this mon. It does have some interesting things it can do. It is a Dragon Cheer mon. Obviously, it's an Unburden user as well, so it pairs up pretty well with Terrain. I think this mon's biggest issue, and actually, it's probably going to go into the D tier. It was actually pretty good with Miraidon, in my opinion. It would be a decent Dragon Cheer Pokemon as well, next to mons like Hydreigon. I do think Sceptile's biggest issue, though, is it really doesn't have... It's like missing a support move. I think if Sceptile had, like, Fake Out, this mon would be so much better. Blaziken, I've tested this myself. You're probably going to struggle. It's really hard to set this mon up. It really feels like if you're going up against a Tailwind team, you can't bring it. If you're going up against a Trick Room team, you can't bring it. And if you're going up against a balanced team that like has any decently fast one, you need like 2 turns to set up before you can actually start attacking. That's probably its biggest issue. Swampert, I actually did have Swampert in the builder earlier today. I'm going to say it's average. It does have a few things it can do. It's a decent enough wide guard mon. We are pretty starved for ground types outside of the Ursalunas. It's also a decent enough water type as well. Its ability is pretty dog shit, sadly. It's probably... I mean, it probably deserves to be in the D tier, but I'll leave it in average now. I don't want to be too disrespectful. Ludi, for me, this is probably a borderline very good mon. I'm going to say good on the right team for now. It doesn't necessarily fit the current Rain teams. But I will say I do think it's very good into the current Rain teams. I think Rain teams will start adopting it as a anti-Rain, mon. Like if you're going up against Rain teams, you want to have the Ludi on your team. Obviously, it's a grass type into things like the Basquiat Legions. It does have access to Fake Out, and, you know, can also nuke the Pelipers that have like no Spadef. And it obviously does, you know, tend to outspeed them. So definitely on the right team, I think Ludicolo could be pretty good. I will go ahead and say Shiftry is probably in the C tier. Obviously, it is a Chlorophyll mon, which we are kind of starved for right now. I think the biggest issue Shiftry has is it was a lot better in a metagame where we had things like Tornadus and Icy Wind everywhere. With Windrider and having the immunity to it, I actually do think it was like kind of decent there. But yeah, realistically, with a lot of those wind moves down, it's probably just average, and it probably doesn't even deserve to be in the C tier. Does it? I mean, I just feel... Nah, is it better than Raichu? Maybe Raichu's too low here. I don't know. Yeah, no, look, I'll leave it in the C tier. I think the mon's pretty average. Pelipper, this guy right now is running the metagame. Rain is probably the strongest archetype right now that isn't Mousehold plus Ape. And even then, Rain plus Mouse Ape is really good. It's just, yeah, Pelipper has so many, you know, friends right now he likes to play with. Archalodon is looking like one of the best mons in the format. Mouse Ape is looking like one of the best combos in the format. You know, Basquiat Legion is incredibly good right now. Yeah, Rain is super dominant, and the other weathers really feel like they can't keep up with it. I'm going to put Guardy in the C tier. It is one of the better fast fairy types, but realistically, it doesn't do too much outside of like run Choice Scarf and deal a bit of damage. Loom also going in the C tier. Breloom is a mon I really like, and I think on the right Tailwind team, it could probably be pretty decent. But yeah, one of its biggest issues is it's so like squishy. It kind of has to run Sash, which means it can't really run Cloak, which isn't the best in my opinion. Slaking almost deserves to be in the B tier simply because if you build the right Weezing team around it, I think it's good. But it feels so disingenuous to say this one's as good as things like Ludicolo and Arcanine. So I'm going to say probably C tier. If you put it on the right team, this one's good. But you really need the right team. Big Hurry, one of the better fighting types in Trick Room. It's basically just worse Iron Hands. But it does have Guts, I guess, which is interesting. But yeah, look, it's a fake out mon. It can, you know, pair up pretty well with the Trick Room setter, right? You just fake out, get up the Trick Room, and this mon can actually start dealing a lot of damage. Sableye, good on the right team. This one does have a few different things it can do. It has screens, it has fake out, it has a stab knockoff. It also does like gravity stuff as well. So on the right team, I think Sableye can be pretty good. These are the two Tailwind setters. Look, I'm going to put them here. They are both decent supports. And I think in a metagame where, like, if they remove Talonflame and Whimsicott from the game, I think these two mons would probably be at least B tier minimum. But the issue is they are just outclassed by other supports, right? I know there are things that Volbeat and Illumise can do that the others can't. But realistically, they don't have the stats. In terms of, like, setting priority Tailwind, they are the worst. And yeah, I'm just going to... They're just solid C tier mons. Then we have Big Talk, my guy. This is probably A tier, right? I think Weather right now is really good. I think Sunroom is also pretty good. And Torkoal, if you want to play like a more like Sun-based team, is probably pretty necessary. I definitely need to test it out myself. But yeah, look, Weather is just insane right now, and it is the best Sunsetter we have. Big Milo. This one's interesting. I am almost tempted to put this in the A tier, but I feel like it's not on the same level as some of these mons. It's definitely not as splashable, but this one's really good, I think. Coil Hypnosis plus Muddy Water is really good with recovery. I believe it also gets access to Haze as well. Yeah, I think Milo's... It's like borderline A-B tier. I'm going to keep it in the B tier just because, again, I don't think it's as good as these guys. And it's probably not as splashable as mons like Gyarados and the Aqua Breed Tauros. Dusclops. Now, Dusclops is a mon I'm surprised we haven't seen more of, if I'm being honest. It's probably too good to put in the C tier. I'm going to say on the right team it's good. It is probably one of like the top 3 Trick Room setters we have right now. I have basically not seen anyone run this guy, but I do think if people start testing it out again with Blood Moon Ursa Luna, we'll definitely see it rise up again, because we saw it in like Regulation E, I think, with like Blood Moon actually be pretty damn good. And yeah, like we lost Urshi, we lost the Genies. I don't think the power creep from DLC 2 was that insane. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dusclops rise up again. Salamence, one of my all-time favorites. I think this mon is actually pretty solid right now. It's a very good dragon type on Rain. I think pairing it with Archelodon 2 is very, very good. I think it can be used as a special mon as well. It can also be used as your Tailwind setter on Rain. It's just really solid. It has Stab Hurricane, Stab Draco Meteor. I did see like one set as well that was like Temper Flare, Dual Wing Beat, which is pretty solid as well. But yeah, good dragon type, Intimidate mon. Can't complain too much about it. Metagross is a mon I basically have not seen. Every Metagross I've seen as well, like that's actually done something, was paired with Hisuian Zoroark, and they just go Terra Normal Boom next to the Zoroark, and that's kind of it. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I think the mon has more potential than what I've seen from it, but I don't think it's anything too amazing. For Terra, unfortunately, Shell Smash could not save this mon. I'm just gonna say D tier. It doesn't really do too much. Infernape, I'm going to put it in the solid C tier. It's one of the faster fake out mons we have in the game. It's a very good focus sash mon as well. And obviously it has access to things like Flare Blitz, Overheat, Close Combat. So it can actually put out quite a bit of offensive pressure. Definitely a C tier for me. Empoleon, low key, I think is B tier. Obviously it's a competitive mon. I kind of didn't mention that with Milotic. I do think Milotic is the better version of Empoleon, but Empoleon does have a, you know, a good typing with the Steel and Water. But yeah, look, it's pretty solid. Competitive is a great ability. And yeah, I think like Life Orb plus 3 attack, you know, you can definitely see it do something on the right team. Staraptor, Choice Scarf, Final Gambit with Intimidate, can deal quite a bit of damage with moves like Close Combat, Double Edge, and what am I missing? Brave Bird. Yeah, decent enough mon. I'll put him in the C tier. Plachi probably goes in the C tier as well, right? It's a follow me mon. It's relatively quick. I think it has access to like Super Fang, Nuzzle, that kind of stuff. I'm sure you could definitely like play with it. It's probably not the best redirection mon to use right now. But I'm sure if you wanted to use it, you could definitely get decent results out of it. Gastrodon right now feels like one of the best answers to Rain. I almost want to say it's very good, but I think its job on a team is specifically to beat Rain, right? With like things like Terra Fairy, it has a really good matchup into Archaladon. Obviously, you can't click water-type moves from your Baskia Legions and your Pelipers. And yeah, it's just a pretty decent mon right now. I'm going to put it in the B tier. Drifblim, probably... I'm going to say C tier. It's a decent enough mon. Basically, it's like an Unburden mon. It normally sees play with Rillaboom, and you just get like Unburden up, and then you just like Haze Dozos. That's like the best thing I've seen this guy do, but I'm pretty sure it gets like Willow, it gets Pain Split. Obviously it's a flying type as well that likes to use up her seeds, so pretty sure it gets like Acro. You can run things like Shadow Ball as well. Honestly, pretty decent. Bronzong might be a hot take. I'm gonna say B tier. This mon is incredibly underexplored from what I've seen, but I do think it is one of the better partners for regular Ursaluna. An Iron Defense Body Press in a metagame with not too many good fighting types is always a good thing. Big Chomp. This one does pain me a bit. I have done a lot of testing with Garchomp, and I'm probably going to get really NVIDIA. NVIDIA's telling me I got to update my drivers, boys. But yeah, I'm going to say Chomp is C tier. I just felt like the mon didn't do that much damage, but granted, I was like Terrafire Clear Amulet with Swords Dance, and it felt like I needed the SD. Maybe something like Lorb Terra Ground is the play, but look, I'll spoiler, I think Rillaboom's the best mon in the game, and if Rillaboom is around, I think Garchomp just kind of struggles. If it can't spam like things like Disquake, it's probably not that good. Riolu, now, I know this guy has a niche, that I'm pretty sure it's like Prankster Coaching, right? Look, I'm going to say it and Lucario are both in the D tier. I'm pretty sure they lost Follow Me. Yeah, they're just very, very average mons. Toxicroak, probably a low-key... Like, this is another mon that I think is really good into Rain. Obviously, you know, it can, with dry skin, it can just eat the water moves. You can't deal any damage to it. It's a fake-out mon, and it is also very good into Archaladon because you can just, like, close combat it. I'm going to say it's probably C tier. This is a very anti-meta mon, if anything. But I definitely see a world in where Toxicroak is actually pretty solid. Abomasnow, I have seen this mon get a little play. I'm going to put it, like, in the C tier with regular Ninetales. You're probably better off just running Alola Ninetales, but I mean, it's a grass type, you know, if you want like Energy Ball. It is a bit slower, so it can function under Trick Room as well. But realistically, it's just a worse version of Alola Ninetales, so yeah, just run Alola Ninetales. Weavile is on the list. Sneasel wasn't. Sorry, Sneasel. Yeah, no, Sneasel. It's a fast fake out mon. It has beat up. It's also like one of the few ice types that are probably half decent. But I'm probably going to have to say D tier. It's maybe... Nah, I'm going to say C tier. I think it's better than these mons. It has a niche, but it's not very good at it. I mean, you can trap, what's his name? You can trap in the what's it called? The Archaladon, and then, like, body press it. That's it. Rhyperior, probably... underutilized right now. This is probably another pretty decent one with Dusclops. It is a lightning rod mon if you're worried about, you know, that kind of stuff. But realistically, this is probably just like a solid rock mon that plays under Trick Room and can, you know, deal a lot of damage to things like Golden Go, and of course Archaladon. Yan Mega, this guy has like one niche, and that's like Gravity Sableye, and then you just Hypnosis everything, and then you speed boost up. I'm gonna just say D tier. It's niche, I guess, if you want it. Glaceon is low-key the best ice type in the game in terms of like dealing damage with Blizzard. I think that's the biggest issue Snow has right now is I actually think Blizzard spam is really good, but there is nothing that actually clicks Blizzard that is good. I'm gonna say it's average because of that. Abomasnow, another ice type, definitely deserves to be in this tier if we have Weavile here. It's just a solid mon, man. It's average, right? It has Oblivious. It's a ground type. It's also an ice type. You know, it's decent enough. Porygon Z, the true best ice type, Adaptability, Terra, Ice, Blizzard. I'm gonna say, this is my bias talking. I'm gonna say it's good on the right team. I was doing a lot of testing with this mon today. I think there is a lot of potential there. It is a good specs mon. It's a pretty good Life Orb 3 attack mon. I also see a world where Protect Nasty Plot with like Terra Blast, Shadow Ball is also pretty decent as well. So yeah, definitely deserves to be in the B tier in my opinion. Gallade, this is also another B tier mon. This is an absolute staple on Side Spam right now. Clear Amulet plus Psycho Cutter and Sacred Sword is just insane. This mon does a lot of damage. I've also seen people running Max because we're currently in a metagame where it feels like a lot of mons aren't actually running that quick. So people are just going like Max Gallade on these Trick Room teams, and they lead like Indeedee Gallade, and you expect it to be like follow me, you know, Trick Room or whatever. And then they just go like Helping Hand, Sacred Sword, and just like nuke one of your mons. It's pretty funny. Frostlass, I feel like if I'm putting Glaceon in the C tier, I have to put Frostlass here as well. Probably one of the other primary Blizzard mons. The Rotom forms, I think they all have potential. And I think they all could be like borderline B tier. But it feels disingenuous to say they're as good as things like Ludicolo and Milotic. I'm really realizing I probably should have done like A, B, B+, C+, C. They're all going in the C tier. I think there is definitely potential there. They are some of the best electric types in the format. Arguably the best electric types in the format. They all have a niche. I think Rotom, Mow, and Wash are both also really good into rain teams. Rotom Fire is also just a solid fire type as well. So, Big Serp, this guy just clicks Glare, he clicks Sub, and then he does, you know, Contrary, Leaf Storm. Not bad. Ember, I actually don't know what this thing does in competitive. It probably should be in the don't tier. Regular Samurott, just use Hisuian Samurott. Hisuian Samurott has Sharpness. It also has some pretty good attacks. Ceaseless Edge is its signature move, which sets up the spikes. Pretty decent. I'm going to say it's C tier. I liked it a lot when it first came out. I do need to do a bit more testing with it right now. Excadrill is probably the best Sand Sweeper we have right now. It's either Drill or Lycanroc. Very, very good. It pairs incredibly well with Tita. And, you know, Earthquake next to a Terraflying Tita is never a bad thing. Conk, probably underexplored at the minute. I do think it's one of the better Guts users we have. This one just like needed Fake Out, I think, to be good. But I think under Trick Room, it's actually pretty solid. My guy, Whimsicott, is very good. My favorite Tailwind setter. This one, it has such a deep bag, man. I always compare it to something like Kyrie Irving, dude. Its support kit is insane, right? It can set up screens for you, you know, click Encore. You got things like Fake Tears, right? You know, you can, you know, change the terrain as well with Misty Terrain if you've got like no matchup into Side Spam. Very, very good mon. Very deep bag. Also, things like Moonblast and Grassland as well are pretty good stabs. Lilligant, I think both Lilligants are pretty good. I'm going to put the regular Lilligant in C and Hisuian in B, just because I think Hisuian is better. But they both fill a very similar niche where they pair up with like Torkoal and they do like After You Eruption. They are also both just pretty decent offensive mons in the sun as well. Big Crook, it's a solid Intimidator. It's also a Dark type. It's probably just a C tier mon. Same with Scrafty. It does the exact same thing, but it's like not as good offensively, but it's better defensively and has Fake Out. Hisuian Zoroark, this is a mon I'm going to put in the B tier. I'm a bit biased here. I think this mon's really good. I think it just you really need the right team to make this thing shine. It's probably a C tier mon, but it definitely has the potential to be here. Basically, the main thing it does is it just hardwalls Mouse Ape, right? You can't Population Bomb it because it's a Ghost type. You can't Drain Punch it because it's a Ghost type. And you can't Rage Fist it because it's a normal type. That is basically this mon's niche. Goth will always be B tier forever, in my opinion. Shadow Tag is a broken ability on the right team. It will always be good. Big Gussie. Ooh. I'm going to say Gus is A tier. I don't think I can put it in the S tier. Pelipper Rain is a little difficult for it because it kind of forces you to Terra, and you kind of have to Terra Water. And if you Terra Water in front of an Archaladon, you are food. So if your Moongus touches the board in front of Pelipper Archaladon, you just get Electroshot Hurricaned and it dies. But of course, Gus's Gus Redirection Spore is one of the most broken things in the game. Not to mention, Regenerator pivoting with Incineroar is also pretty damn good. Shandy, good on the right team. It can function in both Tailwind and Trick Room. It is the strongest fire type technically in terms of its base stats. And Fire Ghost is just pretty damn good. Haxorus, you're probably going to struggle, but the one thing I will say Haxorus can do is it can outspeed a Golden Go that clicks Terra Dragon, and then you Dragon Cheer it because you have Mold Breaker. That's its niche. Beartick, probably the best Slush Rush mon, right? I feel like if I'm going to put... Where did I put... Yeah, there's not Sand Slash. So if I'm going to put a Alolan Sand Slash there, it probably deserves to be here as well. It does also have Slush Rush, and I know people were doing something with it at the end of Regulation G. But yeah, for me, it's probably just C tier. It is a decent enough Slush Rush mon. Mienshao is probably B tier, right? It's one of the faster fake out mons in the game. It has inner focus, so it almost always wins the fake out war. You can't intimidate it with Insyn, and you have the ability to frag Insyn, which is pretty good. Both Braviaries, I'm probably going to put into C tier. I am very interested in the Hisuian Braviary, and I think this mon definitely could move up to B tier. I just need to see a little bit more from it. But the regular one, it's very bulky. It has Defiant, and it's also just a Tailwind setter that can deal a lot of damage. This one here obviously doesn't have Defiant, but it does have Esper Wing, which is a really cool signature move. And Tinted Lens is also very, very good. And yeah, it is actually one of the better Expanding Force Pokemon. We have seen people running... what is it? Terra Psychic Expanding Force on Side Spam teams. Yeah, because it can also function as a bit of a faster Side Spam one as well, because you can click the Esper Wing. And also, too, having Tinted Lens means you can't just swap into this thing's E-Force, right? Unless you're a Dark type. You know, if Golden Ghost swaps in, it's going to get fragged. It's going to deal a lot of damage. Mandibuzz is a mon I have literally not seen, but it's a bulky Dark type that I think definitely has a lot of potential. Obviously, Snarl, Foul Blade, Tailwind are kind of its main things. Hydreigon, this is probably another borderline S tier. Do I want to... I don't think I can put Hydreigon in the S tier. Yeah, I really don't think I can. Like, Hydreigon's thing is, like, with Assault Vest Terra Steel, it's, like, one of the best answers into Blood Moon Ursa Luna. Not to mention Dragon's really good right now, and Dark's also really good right now. And as I said earlier, there's, like, 5 good Dark types in the game, and realistically, there's probably only 3. I mean, like, because Murkrow is a good Dark type, but, like, you don't use Murkrow because it's a Dark type, right? You use Murkrow because it's a Prankster Tailwind mon. I'm going to say it's in the A tier for now, though. Big Volk, Volk's probably A tier, right? It's one of the better fire setup mons. It's also a really good redirection mon as well. It has Will-O-Wisp, has Flame Body. Yeah, you know, Quiver Dance, Fiery Dance, whatever is pretty good combo. Chestnut, this mon has potential. I'm going to say it's in the C tier. It does have, like, the Iron Defense Body Press stuff. I think it also gets, like, White Gut as well, so it's, like, decent. Delphox, probably another underexplored mon. One of the faster E-Force mons in the game. You could probably do some cool stuff with Magician as well. Dude, I feel like I'm being too generous to the C tier. I'm gonna say this is D tier. I don't think it's that great. And same with Gren. Gren is also D tier. Like, Gren's like niches. Like, again, you can go for like Surging Strikes into your Primates and like do it that way. I also, what did I do the other day that I thought was funny? Oh, what did I do? Oh yeah, it was, sorry, Water Shuriken with Scarf Annihilate is what we did. Because it allows you to go like max, and then you also get like the 3 procs off this. So, yeah, because it's priority. Talonflame. Oh, do I think Talonflame is S? Nah, if Whimsicott's not ST, I don't think Talonflame can be. Again, it's one of the big 3 in terms of setting up priority Tailwind. Also, too, Talonflame is an offensive piece right now. I do think is very good. It is one of the better flying types and fire types in terms of offensive power. I think the Life Orb stuff is really good. I also think the, the Covet Cloak support stuff with like Taunt and Willow is also pretty solid. One of the better ones in the game. Vivillon, a mon I kind of expected to see more. It is Redirection Friend Guard. I think it also gets Sleep Powder as well. But yeah, we haven't seen too much out of it. I'm pretty sure Florges could do some stuff with Symbiosis, but that's about it. Technically, the Meowsticks are both decent, but they're probably just outshined by Grimmsnarl, being a Dark type and them being Psychics. Actually, one of these is a support, the other's the offensive one. I think the male's the support, right? So I think the male's better than the female. Put it like that. Sylveon, one of the best 2 fairy types in the game, in my opinion. I'm going to say it's in the A tier. I think the Calm Mind stuff's really good. I also think Fast on Tailwind is also pretty good as well. Pixelated Hyper Voice is just pretty damn broken, not going to lie. Holucha, you could probably play this thing next to Rillaboom, but that's about it, right? Like SD plus... Oh, actually, I guess you could play it next to Indeedee as well. But yeah, like SD plus like a Seed boosting on Burden is like not bad. Goodra is only on this list because of Hisuian Goodra. You can go in the D tier, don't play regular Goodra. The Hisuian variant though is probably A or B tier. I haven't seen too much of it, but I'm sure the body press stuff is probably still pretty damn good. You also don't have to run Shell Armor as well anymore because Urshi doesn't exist, so you can kind of just run Sapsipper and be pretty happy about that. The keychain's probably similar to the other Meowstic. I do think it's one of the better screen setters, but like you may as well just use Grimmsnarl. But yeah, look, it's a fairy type. It sets screens. It has T-Wave. You know, It's just Grimmsnarl, but a steel type. That's basically it. So regular Decky Dewey. I don't actually know what Decky Dewey does. I'm gonna put this guy in the C tier. The Hisuian variant of Decky Dewey, though, this is, to me, borderline B tier. It has Scrappy, right? So it's immune to fake, sorry, to intimidate. It also has triple arrow and leaf blade, so like the scope lens stuff isn't too bad. And yeah, it has a pretty good matchup into mons like Incin. So and also Scrappy triple arrow as well hits Golden Go, which is another thing to keep in mind as well. So it definitely has a niche. It might be worthy of the B tier, but for now, I think I'm just gonna leave it in C. And now two really good ones here. Okay. Hot take of the day. I don't think Incin's S tier. And I think Primarina is also A tier. So I think my thing with Incin, right, is this is probably still going to be a top 5 mon in the game. Do I put it in? I feel like it's a top. You know what? No, I can't have Pelipper in the S tier and not Incineroar. Like, to me, I don't know. I feel like the S tier is kind of up in the air right now. Yeah, look, Incin, it is the best support piece in the game. Let's be real. Intimidate. It has Fake Out. It has Parting Shot. It has Knockoff. It has Flare Blitz. Will-O-Wisp, all that good stuff. I think the Assault Vest set on it also right now is very good with like Snarl or U-Turn. Yeah, I can't not have it in the S tier. I don't even know why I put it in the A tier to begin with, if I'm being honest. Prim though, Prim is really cool right now. I think the Throat Spray set is the best way to play it. So you're just doing like, you know, Hyper Voice with Liquid Voice, you're going Moonblast, and then you're going Haze, Protect with Throat Spray. Basically gives you a free matchup into Dozo. You take like nothing from Wave Crash, and you also obviously are immune to the what's it called? Order Up. And if they go like EQ, you can live one, and if they go like sub, again, you just haze them and then Moonblast them down. Very, very good one. In my opinion, the best fairy type in the game. Charger Bug, it has that one niche where it like makes its friends stronger. Vikavolt, I think, is probably underrated on Trick Room. It pairs up really well with regular Ursaluna because you can just like discharge and like Earthquake spam, but that's kind of it. It also like does have a decent matchup into Rillaboom as well under Trick Room, which is also kind of like pretty decent. Rabombe, I have seen them do some stuff. There was like one guy I was playing against who was like running like Misty Explosion next to it, which is kind of annoying. It is one of the faster natural Tailwind setters, and it's a fairy type, so it is what it is. This isn't meant to be this variant. This is meant to be the other variant. Where did I put them? Where is he? The fuck? What have I done? Oh, there he is. I'm looking on the wrong side. Yeah, this guy here. This is what I'm ranking. Very similar to Excadrill, one of the better sand partners in the game. And yeah, I think the Endeavor Focus Sash stuff's pretty good. Obviously, Close Combat is very good in a metagame where there's not too many good fighting types. And Rock Slide spam is... If you've got a Rock Slide, you've got a way, right? Big Mudsdale... Probably just D tier, right? Like, Stamina Body Press stuff's cool, but it's not that good. The Spider is... borderline very good in my opinion. One of the better Trick Room mons in the game. Has access to Wide Guard, one of the strongest water types as well in terms of damage. Yeah, Brackmanage just pretty damn good. Salazzle, one of the faster fake out mons in the game. That's kind of its niche. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. It also has a very quick Encore as well. It has like fake out Encore, which is pretty interesting. Serena definitely took a hit in this metagame. It doesn't really have a spot on the rain teams currently. It's probably just C tier. I think it is a good one. Obviously, its ability, Queenly Magistry, is very good in a metagame where there's like a lot of fake out spam and whatnot. But realistically, without Kyogre, it's probably just average. Comfey did lose a lot of its friends that made it kind of good previously, like Terapagos. But I definitely think it has a niche on like these Annihilate teams. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. Oranguru, this is good on the right team. This thing paired up with Blood Moon Ursaluna is insane. If you can safely get up a Trick Room next to a Blood Moon Ursaluna and then just start going like Instruct Blood Moons or Instruct Hyper Voices, there's a lot of damage you can do there. There is also a niche as well where you can like pair it up with Blood Moon and like do like Symbiosis stuff where, you know, you use an item and then you just like pass it, you know, the Life Orb or whatever. Minior, this is just me coping, but I'm gonna put it in the You Will Struggle. When there's a Rock Slide, there's a way, and this thing also has a pretty reliable Shell Smash, so keep that in mind. Mimi, one of the most underutilized mons in my opinion right now. I'm gonna say B tier. It's one of the better ghost types in the game, and it's also one of the better fairy types in the game. It has SD stuff. It's also a good support as well with like Trick Room Will-O-Wisp. And its ability means that it is almost always getting up a Trick Room when you have a Mental Herb, right? It is, you would have to lead 2 Taunt Mons to basically stop this thing, or, you know, 2 Mons that have the ability to, one, like, outspeed, and then, you know, kind of pick up a KO too. So, yeah, there's that. Bruxish, low-key, I like this guy. I'm going to put him in the C tier. Very similar to Serena. Its ability is pretty good. And yeah, it's a water type that does a bit of damage, and, you know, I think can pair up pretty decently with Mons like Talonflame. Finally, Komodo. This is a very good mon. It is, in my opinion, the second best fighting type in the game. And is also one of the better dragon types. I think both Iron Defense and the Clangorous Soul stuff are both pretty damn good right now. And yeah, on the right team, Komodo can absolutely slap. This mon is, yeah, I think it's very, very good. So this one here, I think I already spoiled. In my opinion, Rillaboom is the best mon in the game. I think it is, without a doubt, the best grass stuff in the game right now. Grass feels really good because rain is absolutely everywhere. Fake Out, you know, Woodhammer into rain, Grassy Glide for the priority. It has U-turn, it has high horsepower as well. And yeah, did I mention, like, Fake Out, Grassy terrain? Like, it pairs insanely well with Golden Go. Like, lefties plus terrain means you can just go, like, plot, protect, bang, you just recover 25% of your HP. You know, maybe in that time as well, you protected, you pivot into your insane. Now you got another Fake Out, you attack, bang, he's got back another, you know, 12.5%. Yeah, my opinion, the best mon in the game right now. Cinderace, it's only here because it's a starter. It does have the niche of, like, being a fast protein mon though, so, like, probably C tier. It can do a few things, but nothing too great. Intelligent, I did theory craft a team that was, like, double pledged with Sceptile, and you go, like, Terra Dragon, so you go, like, Dragon Cheer, and then you set up the Swamp, and you have your Sceptile be 1 point faster. It's probably not good, but, like, it's there. Big Corv, though, good on the right team. The bulk up stuff and Iron Defense stuff are both pretty damn good. It can be a Tailwind setter for you. It can be a bulky nuisance that sits on the field for a long time. Very good user of the Terra Dragon as well, honestly. Pretty good mon. Colossal, its days have probably passed it. This is a mon that was designed for a Dynamax format and probably needs Dynamax to return for it to be any good. Because of that, I'm going to put in the D tier. I still think there's a world where you can play it with Pulp, but it's probably not a good world. Baraskeezy, my guy. Look, it is the fastest Swift Swim mon in the game, but, like, and it also hits really hard. It's just a wet noodle. Like, Basculegion's so much tankier than it. So, yeah, I would suggest Basculegion if anything. Toxtricity, I have actually seen this mon get a little bit of play. Technically, it is one of the better electric types in the format, but I can't put it above Raichu, so it's just going D tier. Honestly, I feel like I've disrespected Raichu. I might move. I think I'm going to have to move that up at the end. Yeah, I'm going to do it now. I think Raichu's C tier. I think it's better than these guys. We might actually have to review some of these mons, I think, when we get near the end. Hat, on the right team, it's good. One of the best size spam mons of the game. Second slowest mon in the game, only to Torkoal. And yeah, because of that, in terms of Trick Room, it can be absolutely devastating. Grimmsnarl, I'm going to put this in the A tier. You know, I kind of spoke about it when I touched on these guys down here. I think screens are really good, and Grimmsnarl is a dark type, plus it's a fairy type. It's really good. Thunderwave's super annoying. You can also run, like, things like Bulk Up. I was going to say you can run things like, well, yeah, offensive, I guess. I don't think you should run offensive Grimmsnarl, but, you know, Spirit Break and, you know, Sucker Punch and all that are definitely decent options. Oh, this guy here has one niche and one niche only, and that's Faking Out next to a Golden Go. I almost want to say it's good on the right team, but again, it feels so bad saying it's as good as some of those mons there. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. But yeah, the Galarian Meowth, Berserker, I should say. It has Steely Spirit, which gives you like it gives your allies like a 50% bonus to their Steel type moves. So the niche this mon has is you click Fake Out next to a Golden Go, you then click Specs, Terra, Steel, Make It Rain, and you just KO Resist from full HP. It's pretty broken. The Moth, low-key big fan. I think this is one of the better snow partners we have. I think there is a world where you pair this thing with like Alolan Ninetales and Incineroar, and it can do something with Blizzard. But until I actually see someone achieve it, I'm gonna have to put it in the C tier. Stonjourner is another very interesting support piece. Obviously it has Wide Guard, it has absolutely no Super Def, so you have to run Focus Sash, but Power Spot is a really interesting ability, and I'm sure on the right team it could be very good. Low-key, both Indeedys are going A tier. Obviously, you know, when Rillaboom's in the game, having the ability to swap terrain is very good, but they both feel very interesting niches. So the female Indeedee obviously is a redirection support mod. It can set up Trick Room and then just spam out Helping Hand. It's very, very good at what it does. The male Indeedee people are running a lot more offensively. I've seen people running Choice Scarf. I've seen people running Focus Sash. I've seen people running Choice Specs. A lot of people see this mod and they kind of forget that the male Indeedee actually does a bit of damage. The female Indeedee is normally always a support, but the Male Indeedee can actually pump out damage. And again, setting up the terrain for things like, you know, some of the other side spam mons in the game, like the Hatterene, like the Braviary, like the Armor Rouge, which we'll get to shortly, are definitely very good. Polteezy, he gets to join every other pseudo-legendary dragon almost in the A tier. This mon's incredibly good. I think the Choice Banded set right now is insane. It is technically the fastest mon in the metagame that actually sees play. Yeah, it's just very good. And Helping Hand, Terra Dragon, Choice Band one-shots a lot of mons that people did not expect. I've won plenty of games by leading this thing next to draft, clicking Helping Hand, and just nuking through my opponent's team. My favorite's when they protect, swap in their Golden Go, and they take 70 to Dragon Darts. Yeah, very, very good. Regular Ursaluna, I'm gonna say A tier. The biggest issue with regular Ursaluna compared to the Blood Moon variant is it needs a turn to get its guts going. And then 2, it is a lot more reliant on its teammates than I think regular Ursaluna, sorry, Blood Moon Ursaluna is. But again, it's still fantastic. I think you can play this thing like Jolly Max Speed on some of these, you know, these Talonflame / Mercury teams, and it's very, very good. But yeah, Intimidate is probably, I think, a big reason keeping it out of the S tier. Male Bascule Legion, A tier, very good. It is the best Rain Sweeper in my opinion. Pairs incredibly well with Pelipper. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but a Choice Banded Last Respects in the end game is insane. I literally lost a game recently because it was a 3v1. I thought I was fine. He KO'd my resist from like, I was like 80%, and he just like Last Respect fragged it. The mon next to it could do no damage. I sent in my last mon, he one-tapped that, and then he cleaned up my my final piece. So very, very good mon. The female version, I have seen people playing it. It's like the special variant of it. I guess I'm going to put it in the B tier. It's probably a little worse than Ludicolo, but realistically, it is better than a lot of the other like Swift Swimmers that we like left down here. Things like Beartic. So I'm going to put it in the B tier. Sneasler, this mon has an interesting place in the metagame. Obviously pairs really well with the Rillaboom in particular. Technically like the fastest fake out in the game. Diaclaw is broken, and it is also one of the better fighting types we have. I think its issue is it's just very squishy. Overquill, another B tier mon, one of the better Swift Swimmers we have in the game. It's a very fast haze user as well. And Gunk Shot plus Throat Chop is just a very, very good combo in the current metagame. Again, a lot of side spam running around, so you can just kind of lead this thing and Throat Chop into it. Also has a very good matchup into like Gallade, which is one of the better ways that the side spam teams do have of dealing with a dark type. They normally just go into that and they go for the Sacred Sword. But thanks to the poison timing, you kind of don't get one tap by it, which is nice. Meowscarada, this one's tricky. I'm going to say Meowscarada's A tier. I think this mod's actually really good and has a lot of potential. Flower Chick's just really good, but to me, the main thing is Choice Banded Icicle Crash with Triple Axle is very good. There are a lot of mons where I saw Meowscarada, I was like, damn, I'm fine here, and then they just like Protein Triple Axle me, and I just get removed. But yeah, I think it's probably A tier. It is like, probably the 4th best starter, right? Yeah, I think it's like the 4th best starter right now. Big Skeledirge. On the right team, I think this guy's good. Its main thing really is its ability to beat Dondozo, right? Because it's an unaware mon. You kind of just go like Terra Grass, Terra Water, wherever it is. And then, yeah, you just like sit there. You just like Torch Song spam it. Well, normally you go like Yawn and then you Torch Song spam it. And then you like boost yourself and then kind of, yeah, just frag it. And it does some things. Quackleval, I've tried this guy. It is basically in the Blaziken tier where you kind of need an SD, and then you gotta pray the Aqua Step picks up a KO, but you also kind of need to click Aqua Step twice to really start snowballing a game. Put it in the D tier here. Big Pawmot. Ooh, this is tricky. Technically, Pawmot is in contention for the best Electro type in the game. It also pairs incredibly well with Dondozo, and it also is a pretty quick fighting type. I'm gonna say it's good on the right team. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these C tier bots. I think it's better than them. Yeah, again, Double Shock is pretty good. It has, you know, stab close combat, and it has a revival blessing and fake out. So a few things this guy can do. And yeah, pairs incredibly well with Dondozo, which I just realized. Oh no, there he is there. Goddamn. Right here, there is not enough fire types to actually make this one good, but I think there is a world where you pair it with something with like Choice Scarf Lava Plume, and maybe it does something. It's also like technically has a pretty decent matchup into like Ape. Like as I said, you pair this with something that has like Lava Plume, and then you can kind of like outpace the Annihilate with like boosting up your defenses. Mousehold A tier. This one has 2 sets. It has the Friend Guard support with like, you know, Taunt, Follow Me, you know, Super Fang, Thunder Wave, all that kind of bullshit. Very good. It also has the wide lens pop bomb stuff where you know pair it up with the coaching annihilate, or you know you just run it as just that, right? You just say, hey, I've got protect, I got population bomb, I got follow me and bite or something like that. And then technician pop bomb is like a 300 base power attack if you hit all 10 times. So very, very good. We'll do his buddy as well with him, annihilate. This guy runs the meta in my opinion. Defiant Mon has an insanely good matchup into Incineroar. Yeah, it's just really good. You pair it up with things, you know, that can proc its Rage Fist, and then you kind of sweep through. You also pair it with things that can keep it alive to allow it to bulk up, right? That being your Grimmsnarls, your Mouse Holds. And yeah, because that it's pretty damn good, dude. Yeah, without a doubt, one of the most difficult Pokemon to match up into right now. And you really need to have a matchup into it to be good. Big Garganaki, definitely in the B tier here. It's a lot better than it was in the past. Its ability, sorry, its signature move Sulky is very good. You know, yeah, it's just a very bulky Mon. I think it's a really well designed Mon, honestly. And on the right team, it can definitely put in a lot of work. Big Armarouge, I'm gonna say it's probably in the A tier. I think it is one of the better fire types in the game. It is probably the best psychic type in the game. And I think its ability to click Meteor Beam really changes how it plays. Obviously, I think if you want a Mon strictly for size spam, Hat might be better. But I do think like Max Armarouge right now with Meteor Beam is definitely really good. You just got like Power Herb Meteor Beam, you pair it with like Indeedee, you just like follow me Meteor Beam, and then you start like +1 expanding forcing. It's pretty good. Ceruledge, on the right team, it's good. It kind of needs a bit more time than its good friend over here does in Armarouge. But yeah, like the bulk up stuff's pretty good. You are kind of forced to run Clear Amulet like Terra Grass, which kind of sucks. You kind of know what this guy's gonna do, but he does a decent enough job of it. Excuse me. Kilowattrel, probably average. It is one of the fast and natural Tailwind setters. It does pair pretty well with Garchomp because of like Disquake spam. But realistically, it's like not that good. I guess Wind Rider does make it a bit stronger if you can set it up safely, but it kind of does need a bit of time. In a metagame where like all the Paradox Mons are gone, I do think there's a world where Doodle's actually potentially good because like you couldn't copy the Paradox Mons abilities like Photosynthesis and Quirk Drive. So Doodle became really hard because it's just like every team had 3 Mons that you couldn't copy. But it feels like now you can probably copy a lot of good Mons, man. Wait, I just realized too. The DLC Mons, wait. Is this list kidding me? I just realized Blood Moon Ursaluna's not here. Is there really no Blood Moon? Did I stuff up somewhere? Regular Ursaluna. I didn't put it somewhere without realizing, did I? Dude, I'm gonna have to like try to add that in at the end. But yeah, okay. It's good I noticed that. But what I got, what was I talking about? This guy? Yeah, C tier. It's a decent prankster Mon, that's about it. Brambleghast, I think this is in a pretty similar spot to Shiftry. I think its issue is there's just not many people clicking wind type moves anymore, so it becomes a lot harder to use. Toadstool, I actually got cooked by one of these earlier today. I mentioned it earlier. It paired really well with Weezing. Also probably pretty good with Grafai. Probably C tier. I'm sure if you put it on the right team, you could make it work. But again, I'm not putting that in the same tier as a lot of these Mons that don't need a really specific strat. Scovillain, technically like our only chlorophyll fire type. Because I'm gonna say it's in the C tier. I definitely see a world where it could be half decent. Espathra also going in the C tier. Pairing it up with Sableye Gravity is pretty good. And then you just like speed boost Hypnosis spam. Pretty similar to what we said about Yanmega earlier. Tinkaton, oh dude, part of me wants to put it in the B tier because of how good its typing is, but it's probably just a C tier Mon. Mold Breaker Fake Out's really good into Giraffe. And I mean, Gigaton Hammer does a lot of damage. It's a pretty good Assault Vest Mon. Technically, you can also Helping Hand your Golden Ghost as well. But yeah, probably just like a C tier. Palafin, definitely not going in the S tier. This is an A tier Mon in my opinion. I think Palafin's only issue is it needs to turn to setup. If you didn't have to swap out your Palafin, it would probably just be the best water type in the game. But because you do need a turn to set up, to me, it makes it a little bit harder to use than something like Tauros or Gyarados. But obviously, if you can safely get it out and back in, this Mon is without a doubt incredible. It's an amazing Pokemon. Earthworm, I want to say B tier. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but on the right team, this guy can do a lot of work. And Shedtail is just a really good move. Glamora, ooh, is this my bias talking? I'm gonna say it's A tier. Look, the Meteor Beam stuff to me is really good. I think it is very similar to Hisuian Arcanine. It pairs incredibly well with hyper offensive teams. It's spot on Glimdozo as well is also really good too. So yeah, this is very good. It has a lot of different things it can do, right? You pair it with Talonflame and you can nuke opposing Tailwind setters, right? You know, if you're going up against a Talonflame Tailwind team, you can power, you Meteor Beam it. Same thing with Mercury, you just Meteor Beam it. And if they go for the Whimsicott, you can just, you know, Sludge Bomb. So very, very good sorry, it's very good for the mirror, I should say. Flamigo has two different niches. One, you co-star it next to a Muck, and two, you Scrappy, use it as a fighting type. I have seen people go like Scrappy Life Orb, and it actually does quite a bit of work too, so pretty good mon. Definitely, Houndstone's the worst of the Sand Rush users. I'm going to say C tier. It does have Sand Rush, which does give it a niche, but you're probably better off running the other two options. So Titan is one of the better, it probably is the best Slush Rush user, actually. But it's just C tier. I don't think Slush Rush is actually that good. John Dozo here, I'm going to put him and Tatsugiri together in the A tier. They're probably borderline S tier mons. But realistically, I am not as big a believer because there are ways to deal with them, right? Rillaboom has a very positive matchup into it. In Sin, you have to call the Wave Crash. If you don't, you're going to get Intimidate faked out and then like Protect and, you know, just pivot it on. Very, very frustrating. And again, there are other things like we're seeing the Haze Primarina, right? Gyarados also has a very good matchup into it. But regardless, you have to be ready for Dozo. If you aren't, the mon can absolutely run through you. Giraffe, another one of the top tier psychic types. Its ability is insane. It is one of the best helping hand supports of the game. I can set up Trick Room for you as well. Pairs incredibly well with Blood Moon Ursaluda. Very, very good. King Gambit, dude, I feel like the back end of this list is all the same. One of the premier dark types, probably is the premier steel type in the game. It is just incredibly good. Defiant into King Gambit is pretty wild. Sorry, into Insane is pretty wild. And Terra Dark Sucker Punch is just gonna frag everything. Very, very good Pokemon. Baxcalibur, ooh. I'm gonna go B tier. I think Bax is really good. But it's not as splashable as things like Dragapult and Hydreigon in my opinion. It really does need a good team built around it. But yeah, again, look, the Swords Dance, the Dragon Dance stuff are both very, very good. You pair it up with a Alolan Ninetales. And yeah, the mon is pretty damn decent. Golden Joe, this is S tier, arguably the best Pokemon in the game. Probably number 2 in my opinion. It's really good. What can I say? You know, you lead into like a Mouse Ape and you kind of just click Specs Make It Rain. You pair it up with like a Water type. So if they go for the, you know, you basically make the call. You say, hey, if you're going to go for the Rage Fist, my Pelip is going to drop a Weather Ball on your head. Yeah, incredibly good Pokemon. Runs the metagame. It's an absolute nuke. The spec stuff is pretty broken. The Life Orb plot stuff is pretty broken. And the Lefties plot stuff is also pretty broken. Also, the ability to, like, you know, just switch in on things like Amoonguss as well is very, very good. Sinister, on the right team, this mon's very good. I can definitely see its niche. It's really good at healing up mons. It's a pretty good setup sweeper itself with things like Calm Mind and Plot. Also, Redirection plus Trick Room as well does make it pretty damn scary. Archaludon, this is another mon running the metagame right now. It's right there. It's funny, too. I said this thing was the premier steel type. I'm like, oh, it's like the premier steel type. I literally hadn't gotten to the 2 best steel types yet. But yeah, Golden Joe and Archaludon. Archaludon right now is probably the reason Rain is so good. People are running like the Assault Vest, Electroshot stuff. Technically, this is probably the best electric type in the game, even though it's not an electric type. I've also seen things like Sturdy plus Power Herb as well. It's just really good, dude. It pumps out a lot of damage. Stamina Body Press is also insane. Especially, as we said earlier, in a metagame where there's not that many good fighting types, having something like the Stamina plus Body Press stuff is very good. And then to finally round out this section of the list, Hydraplin. I think this mon has a very good matchup into Blood Moon Ursaluna, which is one of the better Pokemon in my opinion. But that's kind of all it is, right? It kind of relies on having Trick Room, but it does have a good matchup into Ursaluna. And because of that, I'm going to put it in the B tier. Now, I pray this is the only mon that was missing off the list. Finally, we have Blood Moon Ursaluna, who also deserves to be in the S tier. Blood Moon Ursaluna is right next to Gholdengo as the premier special attacker in the format. And then on top of that as well, it is one of the few mons in the format that actually has the ability to one-shot a Gholdengo consistently. Earth Power will mess up a majority of the sets. If they're the Terra Steel stuff, you will frag it with Earth Power, and if they are not Terra Steel, more than likely you will just frag it with the Blood Moon. which is pretty damn good. But yeah, in terms of a special attacker, it is right there as arguably the best. It can function under Trick Room, and also in the current metagame, it can also function under Tailwind. But yeah, I think that is gonna be it for my list. The question is now, do we need to move anything here? I mean, Gussie in the S tier is probably not a bad shout, but I don't think it's super necessary. To me, that's all fine. For a B tier, what do we think here? Like, maybe, like, I don't know, maybe Jumpluff is, like, too high. Maybe, no, Sableye's probably fine there. Maybe even Empoleon's probably too high. I don't know. I feel like for the most part, I've done a pretty good job here. The C tier is probably the most controversial, in my opinion. Like, it feels like Garchomp is so much better than, like, 90% of these bonds, but it's like to me, like, I know, I just see this guy, and I see Garchomp here. I don't know. I guess technically Flamigo probably is a bit better, in my opinion. I don't know. I've just got a bias towards some ones. It's not great. Same with you. You could probably even be B tier as well. I don't know. I think I'm gonna leave it. Is there anything from here that like should go up? Nah, realistically, that's fine. What about you guys? Did I miss anything here? Like, it's funny too. I was like looking at Sceptile at the bottom of the tier list. I'm like, dude, I just feel like my favorite one in the worst like tier. But then I remember like all these guys exist, so it's probably fine. My guy Gliscor, I wish you were good in VGC. Technically, this guy here is probably decent in Snow as well. Maybe Gambit as well is like half decent, but just run Gambit at that point. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've done a pretty good job with this list. How do I don't even know if I can even line it up properly. But yeah, that's my tier list, guys. How long? Fuck, I've gone over an hour. Oh, that's really tilting. Hopefully, once I trim it down, it'll be like an hour 5. But yeah, look, I got pretty close to an hour. I did the best I could. But yeah, I guess, guys, let me know down below what you think of the tier list. Obviously, as I said at the very start of the video, we're only like a week into the format. This is kind of my initial thoughts. I will definitely have a more in-depth tier list probably in the next 3 weeks, probably end of the month, maybe start of next month, once we actually have a lot more time with the metagame. But regardless, I'm super excited. I think this is a really fun metagame. I think there is a lot of things that are changing. And yeah, I think it looks pretty damn healthy. Once we discover a good way to really deal with like Mouseape and Rain, I think things are going to be fantastic. But of course, guys, if you made it to the end of the video, first of all, thank you. And I guess while you're here, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It means the world to me. You know, obviously, Regulation H is a fun time. And, you know, I want to get the videos out there to as many people as I possibly can. And the support really helps. Obviously, you know, it helps out with the algorithm, the comments, the likes, a lot more than I think a lot of people actually know. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.